Hey guys, happy Wednesday. It's hump day. Today is Wednesday, February 6th, I think, 2019. I'm super excited to be here with my friend, a very old friend, David Schulman. But we want you to let us know you can hear us or see us before I get into David's story. And then we talk about his cool outfit. I mean, I kind of knew what he was wearing today, and I didn't pick this for that reason, but we do kind of clash, but yet match. So give us a thumbs up. Let us know you can hear us or see us. And if you need to turn, Danny, what's up, Danny? So send me a heart or a thumbs up, because I did one show once and they couldn't hear us at all. Thank you, Danny. Appreciate that. All right, welcome. So we've been trying to get this together for a while. It's 100% my fault, as it usually is. I've been married for 28 years, so it's always my fault. So give us a little background on you, buddy. Tell us about you.
I'm David Schulman, and I grew up north in New Jersey. Moved down here.
That's right. What part of Jersey are you from?
Central Jersey.
I was born in Bergen County.
Okay, Middlesex.
Middlesex,
County.
yeah.
Yeah. Grew up in a small town called Piscataway, and lots of good memories there. Moved down here for high school. Went to University High School on the east side of town.
Oh my God, that's
UCF.
right. You're young enough to. We didn't have a University High School when I went to Colonial, so that should tell you something.
Yeah, I was actually the first graduating class out of there, '94.
That's awesome.
And grew up around here and got to know a lot of people, in town, obviously over the time. Went on from small hobby stuff, job-wise, and started doing stuff in my mid-20s for radio-controlled RC jets.
That's right. So I love the jet story. I want to talk a little bit about that before we keep going. So tell them about what that is, because these are, and I'm going to butcher it, but these are like high-end electrically controlled planes, small planes.
Yeah.
Not small planes you can fly in, guys. You know what I mean. So give them a little background on that.
Basically, around the mid-90s, the technology really started to advance, and we ended up getting they're radio-controlled model planes, and we ended up, in around 96, I think it was, actual turbine jet engines, where they run on actual jet
Wait, so
fuel.
you can get one of those with jet fuel?
Yep, they run on actual jet fuel, and now they've got them to where they're like, some of them go all the way up to about 10 to 14 foot wingspans.
All right, so how does that work? Do you build these?
Yes, you have to build them, and a lot of times there's quite a few different kits that are available from different manufacturers around the world.
I've seen the pictures of them. Does it interfere with fly zones and all that stuff? Does it go that high? And this is predating all the drone stuff that we have now.
Yeah, it's all before that, and you have to fly it at a certified flying field. We have a limit for altitude of 400 feet, and we also have a speed limit here in the U.S. at least for 200 miles an hour and under.
So how do you control a plane going let's say it's 199 an hour? I don't know. How does that work on the electronic part? Because how do you stop that when it's going 199 miles per hour?
Well, it's the same laws that apply to real airplanes. It actually has retractable landing gear, flaps, speed brake devices, things like that. So, I mean, there's replicas of real airplanes, and then there's what we call sport jets. There's a lot of videos of me on YouTube. I used to travel teaching people how to fly these things because I started winning all these competitions. And then what happened was one customer says, "Hey, I want to fly like you fly. Can you come and teach me?" And I said, "Well, I've never really done that before." And he said, "Well, I'll pay you for your time." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
I love those words. I would like to be paid for my time, please. Yes, that's awesome.
So I ended up starting to do that, and word spread. It's a small community, tight-knit, all around the world. And I ended up starting to travel, and I kind of circled the world about 3 different times.
Because these are, you don't just make them to play with them, you make them to, and play is probably the wrong word, to fly them. I'm sorry, I'm still thinking of a boy and paper airplanes. But you make them so people can purchase them so they can have them.
Yes, for a while there I worked for a manufacturer, and I sold their specific brand jets, and then eventually I ended up doing my own business where I would custom build the jets. I would have them built for the customer, finished in this color scheme that they chose, and then I would deliver it straight to them. I mean, I used to bring them down to Dominican Republic, to Brazil.
Didn't you travel like to, not the Middle East,
Yeah,
but
Middle East.
right? So it's like not Saudi Arabia, but Dubai.
Dubai, Qatar, Kuwait. I've been all over. There's actually some videos on, like I said, on YouTube of me in the Middle East, back from I guess it was 2000s, early 2000s.
That's
And,
unbelievable.
yeah, it was unlike anything I've ever experienced going out there. One guy a customer that I went out there for, he had 3 full-time builders building him airplanes. And what would happen?
Building him airplanes. So his passion was flying those remote control jets.
Yes, and he
Pretty
would
much.
crash them quite often.
Yes, so there's a cost. So talk about that, whatever you can share. It's not, the reason he's traveling to other places is because these aren't just little toys you buy somewhere. There's a lot of money that goes into building them. So of course, when you're purchasing them, you have a large purchase on your hands. This is not something teeny tiny.
Yeah, you would end up spending at least $8,000 to $10,000 on a plane, and then a lot of them go up to about, an average one would be like 15 to 25,000. Some get it all the way up into 30, 40, 50,000. I sold one to a sheik for.
That's the story I remember.
Yeah, at the time I brought a booklet with me because what happened was I got so well known in it that I knew everybody around the world that had these things. So I would find somebody that wanted to sell one of their planes, and then what I would do is make up a whole email list at the time, and then I would bring a paper printout, and it would show all the different jets from around the world, from different people I knew, and I would ask them, okay, how much do you want for your plane? Let me broker the sale, and let me, put on my commission and see what I can get. And I remember I brought this book with me when I went to the Middle East, and I never in my life would have thought I could have sold an airplane at like 40 grand. It was the most expensive one in the book. And sure enough, guy flips through, it's on the last page, and he points at it and says, that one. And I was like,
nice.
wow.
That's a day to celebrate. Matt,
Yes.
what's up? That is a day to celebrate. 40 grand. I think the disposable income that you have to have, but you also have to have a passion for it. So it's not just something you buy. You also have to know, like you said, so when they crash, what happens? Do you have like an emergency hospital for planes that crash? Like, how does that work?
No, unfortunately, and there's no insurance. You cannot insure
I would
these
imagine
things.
you could not. No
Yeah,
way.
so once these things go in, and typically when they crash, they kind of, sometimes maybe 50% chance would catch on fire, and sometimes, a lot of times it's a total loss. Again, I've got a video on YouTube where I had a giant crash at the biggest event in the U.S. Back around '97, I think it was.
Wow.
And I lost about $25,000.
Oh my God, does your heart sink? I would have just,
Yeah.
I don't even know how you do that.
Yeah,
You're just
it was-
thankful nobody's hurt in them because this is
Yeah.
big time. Like, if it's going to explode and crash into flames, you're talking about something that could really hurt somebody. That's why it's very important that there's a whole safety thing. Training's important. So how did you segue to owning, and I'll describe it as a jewelry store, jewelry outlet, jewelry, you tell me, jewelry buyer. You're a jewelry buyer.
Yes.
Orlando Jewelry Buyers, right?
Yes.
You've got it.
Yeah,
So
we've-
talk about that.
We've got 3 stores now. We started back in 2012. Basically what had happened was I was pretty much working myself to death trying to deliver these jets, and the profit margins were so small on it, and then traveling, going out of the country quite often.
It sounds glamorous, but it's not necessarily glamorous.
It was good for a certain amount of time. And then we had children, 2 small kids, and I was like, you know what, I'm missing so much at home. So I started to talk to my customers. They're wealthy people. And I kind of was like trying to pick their brains, like, hey, what should I try? What should I get into? And one of my good friends had some gold refineries. And he started in 2003 with 1 location out of Central Texas. and he wound up with 60 locations.
So a Gold Refinery is where they come down the window. We have the window washers at the Citrus Club today, so they're just scurrying around the 18th floor right now. So a Gold Refinery is where you bring gold pieces and then they melt them down and make something new, or
Yeah, they melt them down. They would actually, what his business was, he bought from people like what I do. I buy from the public. He buys from stores and dealers and things like that. And that was kind of during the rush. And what happened was they saw it growing, and then the economic collapse of 07, 08, that actually pushed the gold price sky high.
I remember, because I remember there used to be, so the Citrus Club used to have right around that time, it seemed like there was everybody and their brother was buying gold. They had gold parties up here, where you could bring in your used necklace that you haven't used, it's been sitting in your jewelry box for 20 years, and convert it to dollars.
Yes.
It was crazy. I remember it was like a big deal. But that's how some people were surviving, because they had all this gold, and gold prices were so outrageously high at the time.
It was, and that was before I got into it. I got in, like I said, in 2012. I sold everything I had. I sold all my jet airplanes that I had. Luckily, my customers came through and they bought my stuff. And it wasn't cheap, but I ended up selling the stuff, and I used that money to open up our first store up in Sanford. And
what did you think at that time? So you had to learn an entirely new business. You had absolutely no idea anything about it. You had to learn from scratch, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you're learning from scratch, and I know the title of your show kind of sums up how you and his beautiful wife, by the way, who's also a fantastic friend, Riza, is here. You just can't see her; she's off camera. But you guys, that's how you live your life. You always want to be outstanding. You're working it. You're trying to figure out how to do better, how to grow more. So how did you handle getting into a business that you had zero experience in?
It was pretty scary. Let's just say that. I mean, stepping away from basically my hobby and selling the jets and delivering the jets, which is what I did my whole life. I just decided that I needed to change. I wasn't really making it. It wasn't going to be a healthy long-term experience for me, my family, my kids, nothing. So I had to do something, and I figured that, my friend gave me the basics. Basically, you buy the gold, and then you melt it down, and you buy it, and you determine your profit basically by what you buy it at. So a lot of people think, oh, it's easy. You just open up a store, and people just need money, and they're desperate, and they're going to come in and sell it.
It's not like you're a pawn shop necessarily,
no,
right? So
no.
that's a totally different animal. I want people to know that's a different beast. Because if you go into any of their stores, this is a beautiful stuff. It's not just gold anymore. You have gorgeous watches and rings, and I forget how I titled diamonds, gold, and all sorts of fun stuff. But you had to learn what the value was. You had to learn how to evaluate or how to value something, which also takes a lot.
It does, and I'll tell you one thing. That was the hardest part is learning. You're going to make mistakes. I bought a fake Rolex when I first started. Once those started to come in the door, I started getting a bit nervous. Same with diamonds.
Yes, because they make some of the fakes. They make them look so real.
Yes.
You have to really take a look at it. I saw one the other day, and the guy was being really haughty and kind of attitude-y, and I'm like, "Where'd you get that?" And he knew exactly why I asked him, because that was a fake Rolex. That was a Folex, people. And there's nothing wrong with that, but don't act all haughty when you've got a Folex on, for God's sake. All right, so when people come in, so you had to learn. It's almost like having counterfeit money. You had to figure out, oh my God, this isn't a real diamond. This is a Diamondique, or this isn't a real Rolex. And there's so many different brands out there of watches and the way jewels are set that you really had to learn an entirely new world.
Yes.
And so how did that progress? So you obviously started with the one store. You all have 3 now?
Yes.
So you obviously learned your craft. What's the growth pattern there? How do you continue to build that business? And a Brolex, there's Thomas must be your friend. I love it. A Brolex, that's good. How do you build? How do you go just overall, not just in the jewelry business, but you're building in kind of your own empire. You're building your own franchise. So you're building from one store to two. How do you do that? How do you make the leap?
It was the first store that we expanded to was Winter Park, and honestly, I was looking. My friend who had the refineries told me, the goal is not to open one. Since before I opened the first one, he says you have to open multiple stores, and that freaked me out. I was like, I don't even know what the hell I'm doing. And I don't know how to do this, but okay.
Because you have to have a storefront for that kind of store.
You do.
You can't have any legitimacy. People won't trust you if you're trying to sell it out of the back of your trunk.
Yes. You
have to have a storefront. It has to be in a nice plaza. I mean, you've got to be something that's really that somebody can walk into.
Yes, you do, and you have to market it, advertise, get the word out. Riza, my wife, did a great job with marketing and going out there, talking to her friends, talking to everybody. And the whole thing is that it's like, I figured it out, and I'm no genius, but basically, if you really want to do something, you can find a way to do it. You make sacrifices. You go out there, you talk to people, you do research. Now with the internet, back when I was doing the airplane thing, internet was evolving and everything, but now it's amazing what you can learn online and you can figure out. And then the thing is too, is that we were open 6 days a week. So I would get, a lot of people in, and then now it's like I can look at a Rolex. I just went to a friend's jewelry store in town that I hadn't seen in a while, and he was showing me a Rolex he bought that was not real.
Oh, God, see, that hurts my heart really bad for him.
That hurts the wallet.
It hurts the wallet.
And it's one of those things that I saw it, and I immediately knew that even though he told me it was fake, I looked at it and I was like, no, there's too many signs.
Do you think the person coming in knows it? Like, I think
they
sometimes... Oh, they did know.
Yeah, they knew it. And
some people just buy them and they think that, you got it over on your 2-day cruise, and you decide to go buy it somewhere in the Bahamas, and you think, oh my God, this is real. I'm telling you, it's not real. But you come back and maybe you don't know. You really don't know the difference. So I'm sorry that he got hit with that, because that's a risk you take. But you take all sorts of stuff. Did you have to learn like all the gemology stuff? Did you have to learn how to? I like those little eye things that you look at. You have to learn how to use one of those things.
The loop.
The loop.
Yeah, the loop.
I want to wear one on my neck and have it all the time.
The technology keeps evolving too with that, and that's the one thing I try and stay ahead with is constantly reinvesting and buying new equipment. Now they have lab-grown diamonds, which are kind of scary.
They have lab-grown diamonds. Mm-hmm. Okay, how does that work, and is that a real diamond?
It's actually a real diamond, but it's a mix.
So fascinating.
You can call it real, but it may not be real because it's grown in a lab. So it's still made out of the same type of material.
I have a feeling they have another lab when they're growing.
Yeah.
Just for the record. So I had a friend who came up one time, and she was going on and on about her engagement ring. Well, I could spot that a mile away, that her fiance didn't share with her that was definitely a Dominique or less. That was not homegrown either. I don't know where they got that from. And she went on and kept posting on social media, and finally I said, I'm going to tell you that is not real. They're not together anymore, just for the record. But you have to be honest. Don't you want? Do people come in and go, I want to buy your cheap stuff? Like, how does that work when somebody comes in? You guys obviously are very educational, but I think it would be intimidating sometimes, especially a guy coming in and wanting to buy his first Rolex, or a guy coming in wanting to buy an engagement ring. How do you handle that interaction with them?
Well, I mean, basically, when they come in to buy something from us, number one, that's the smartest move that they can make, because a lot of times what happens is obviously there's other stores around us, big retail stores that sell jewelry. And if you've gone into one of them and then come to us, you're going to realize that, well, there's a huge price, discrepancy here.
Call a retail markup, people.
Yes. And people...
Every kiss does not begin with...
And
you went to what? What is it called now?
People wonder why, it's like, why is there so much markup in it? It's like, well, look at the store, look at the staff, look at the overhead.
Right.
And like I tell people, they're not selling gallons of milk. It's not like they're selling them every, 5 minutes. So when they sell something, they've got to make a big score on it.
Sure.
And the thing is that the diamonds that I have versus the diamonds that they have is the same thing. Someone's like, oh, well, it's used. And it's like, the diamonds, I hate to break it to you, but the diamonds that are in that ring in the nice jewelry store, they came from somewhere.
I mean, it's used. This is the education part that makes me crazy. So you have to, I know, but you're very patient. You guys are very patient human beings. So when you have somebody that comes in, I know that you are taking the time with them. You're really trying to help them figure it out. You still have to make money. Hey guys, everybody that comes on the show needs to make money, just for the record. I had somebody go, oh, you have so many rich friends. Listen, we have people who are entrepreneurs and business owners, and you have to go out, and we want you to go out and support them. So when somebody comes into your store and says, I want a Rolex, you're not going to get it for $5 or $10. You're going to get it for whatever David's got going on in that moment. I don't know. He's wearing his Valentine's vest today, so I think we're going to do a little promo on Valentine's, or we're going to talk about Valentine's Day, which I imagine is one of your busiest times of the year.
It is very busy for the selling end of it. People coming in. Just yesterday, I sold a diamond ring to a guy who came in. He's like, my budget is $600. What can I get? And I showed him a range of rings that he was able to get. And the ring he bought was probably, if you would have went to a normal retail store, probably around anywhere from $2,000 to $2,800. And
it's
he walked
such a
out.
difference.
It is. And, he walked out. There's nothing wrong with the ring. It was, we professionally refinish it. I even told him, I said, if it doesn't fit her, I said, bring her back in after you propose. I said, we'll size it to fit, no charge, and clean it up.
That's awesome.
It's already clean, but, after we refinish it, or resize it, we refinish it as well. There's a lot of things, a lot of tricks that people don't know. Like, you can make your jewelry look new again. If someone's like, oh, I don't like wearing it because it doesn't look shiny anymore, there's ways to clean it up and refinish it, make it look brand new.
Do you guys help them with that? Can they come in the store?
Yeah, they can come in the
them?
store,
Okay.
and we do repairs and things like that. That's a really big
That's awesome.
part of the business, is the repairs, replacing stones that get lost and things like that. Then I also had someone buy a Rolex yesterday, good friend of mine.
Awesome.
For his wife. And
hey, Stacy, it's our anniversary on Saturday. It's time. I had to get, because I got my ring, it'll be 28 years Saturday is my anniversary. And so I had to get rid of, well, it's in a box somewhere, of the ring that I got married with. My actual real wedding ring is yellow gold with diamonds in it. Don't laugh, that was real popular back in 1991. But because I've aged and because my fingers have gotten, 10 times the size they were before, I had to get a different ring. And I think a lot of people kind of go through that. I imagine there's so many different reasons why somebody would come in and go, okay, David, I need help. It could be to sell, it could be to buy, it could be to figure out their life change with the engagement ring. But you guys provide all that, which is really cool. I love it. So what's going on February 14th? So this weekend is the weekend before. So are you expecting like big crowds? Do people just really come in and go crazy on the weekend before Valentine's Day?
Usually, like the 2 days before, I get tons of guys coming in.
I totally get it.
And they're just scurrying. They're like looking at all the cases, and they're like lost as what to buy.
I would have no idea what to buy, Stacy, even after 28 years.
And then,
no earthly idea.
The safest thing is a necklace, and then some people actually come in and say, "Hey, I don't know, I don't want to buy a ring because I don't want to get engaged, but I want to show her that I care." You'd be amazed.
You're seriously like a psychologist. Isn't that awesome? So what's the future? What's coming up for you guys? What is your 1 year, 2 year, 5 year plan? What do you want to do next?
I have been kind of saying it for years. I want to expand. I want to do what my friend did as far as go city to city. I've seen that, but the biggest problem is that with my business is that you can't just have a written out sheet and say, all right, this walks in, this is what you do. It's kind of like, it takes a matter of the person that's behind the counter, can they figure it out? Can they get fooled? Can they get swindled? Because sometimes, about, I would say 95% of the people that come in to sell fake stuff, 95% of them know it's fake, and they're trying to get you.
Guys, it's horrible.
And it happens, it happens weekly. It happens weekly.
Sure,
and
they're trying to pass it off, trying to make money.
Yeah, and what happens, what they don't realize is that if we call the cops, you get arrested.
Yeah, we don't want any of you people to do
So,
that. So it better be an innocent thing.
Yeah, and so it's kind of interesting, and in that regard. But yes, expanding to multiple cities would be a good thing to do. One of the things that I've done is actually gotten back into my jet hobby thing, and now I'm supplying a large government entity, is all I can say. With
secrets, conspiracy theory. Here we go.
So we started to supply them with certain products and building things for them.
Well, because I know everything's your passion. You love what you do, but the planes are definitely like this. That's got to be your stress reliever. That's got to be your thing that you really love to do. Sometimes when we do the thing we love to do and it becomes a business, it can be challenging because then you don't love to do it so much anymore because you're having to deal with stuff you didn't want to deal with before. All right, so we're going to share all of David's contact information, the stores that you can go to. This is a big weekend. You want to reach out to him. You want to reach out to Riza. I'll tag her too. You want to go there if you're getting ready to propose or you want to buy your loved one some beautiful gift for Valentine's Day, which is coming up a week from tomorrow. Any parting words of wisdom for them? Anything you want to share before we head out?
If you're local, come to the store, check it out. We're over on the corner of Kirkman and Conroy, behind the Chick-fil-A, and we've got stuff from $10 to over $10,000.
See, there's good stuff there. It's in your budget. I just know that there's a lot of guys. One of the other reasons why I love the idea of having the show, there's so many guys that come up to me. I get a lot of questions asked. People think I'm the point of reference, like Ted's List. And so I get questions about rings. I get a lot of questions about jewelry. And so now I answered your prayers. I brought you a jewelry person to talk to and reach out to who is incredibly sweet and successful and accessible. And I think that's what you want because it can be a scary thing when you're going in trying to find something, especially when it's meaningful. All right, thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Riza, in the corner over there. I appreciate you setting this up. She's the beautiful bulldog in the whole scenario because she just gets it done. And we need somebody like that in both of our lives. True, trust me. I got Stacy, you've got Riza. All right, we love you guys. We'll be back at 1 o'clock. We'll see you then. Mwah.